19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. What was the reason for that? We discussed that. Why is it that, why do you think that most of the tribal rebellions happened by the late 19th and 20th centuries? Because the acts in the new forest acts came into being, the first one came into being in the year 1965, and later on in the year 1878 it was amended. Okay, and after the amendment, the life of the tribal people became very, very difficult. I'm still admitting a few students who always come late. Mahi, why are you so late, beta? Please be on time. It really affects my lecture. I have to stop and admit you all. Please be on time. Okay, now we discussed about why the tribal rebellions happened in the late 19th and the 20th century. Many, around hundreds of rebellions happened, not only only in India against the Britishers, but not only that, across the world during that time, many rebellions were happening. Now, I also showed you this map of Bastar in the year 2000, the newly formed state of Chhattisgarh in the year 2000, and the main district which was added with Bastar was Kanker district, where the rebellion started, and also Dantewada. So this map is very important from exam point of view for history lesson. Okay, I have already explained this to you. Now I'll go on to the next slide, which we have already discussed in the previous class, the life of people in Bastar. We talked about the geographical location of Bastar. Can anybody tell me where is Bastar located? What did we discuss?
Chhattisgarh.
In
Chhattisgarh, ma'am.
Region of India.
Southern part of Chhattisgarh, and it shares its boundaries with Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Maharashtra. Also, that's Bastar. The central part of Bastar is a plateau. To the north of this plateau is the plain of which river? Godavari river. As you already know, you must be knowing, children, Godavari river is the second, is considered as the, it is the longest, second longest river in India, and it is considered as the Dakshin Ganga. It is also referred to as another Ganga in Ganga of South India. And its main tributary, its most important tributary is the Indravati river, which it joins in Karnataka, and it flows, it starts from Maharashtra. You already know about Mahabaleshwar. You know where Mahabaleshwar is located in Maharashtra. So from there, the river originates, and then it flows to Karnataka, and then it finally the delta is towards the east, and it flows into the Bay of Bengal. So when we talk about the Bastar region, it has the main tributary of Godavari flowing in this region. Okay, when you're talking about the geography of Bastar, the river Indravati winds across Bastar from east towards the west. A number of different communities live in Bastar. Which all four main communities were? Can anybody tell me which were the four main communities?
Ma'am, Goans, Dhurwas, Bhatras, and Halbas.
Very good. We have the four main communities of Bastar are Gonds, Dhurwas, Bhatras, and Halbas. These are the four main communities in Bastar. Okay. Then we have which languages? The native languages are some different native languages are spoken. Tribal languages are spoken in this area. And when we talk about the religion and festivals and the local belief system of the people of Bastar, we have seen that in the video also, that they believe that they have to take care of the earth. Why? Because it has been given to them as a gift from God. So during all their agricultural festivals, they do some offerings and some dancing to show their respect for Mother Earth. In addition to the earth, they also show respect to the spirits of the river, the water, the earth, the forest, and the mountain. We have already learned that in the previous class also, that the forest dwellers have an egalitarian society. They don't have a caste-based society just like in the Hindu society we have. So they have a egalitarian society, and they don't worship any specific gods, or they have some village spirits like the spirit of the river, spirit of the forest, spirit of the mountain. So they do worshipping like that. Okay. And also, we talked about the demarcation of the village boundaries. There are many villages in these districts. So all these villages have a control in some part of the forest. So there are demarcation of the village boundaries also. So how they sustain, what is the livelihood is like that. But if people from one village want to take some wood from any other forest, so what they will do, they will pay some kind of a fee which is known as Evsari, Dand, or Man. And they have a exchange, trade and barter system wherein, like, if they have taken wood, they will give some other product or some other kind of a service to the people, to the village from where they have borrowed any of the village product which belongs to that particular village. Every year also there is a, you know, some kind of a celebration by the village headmen in the Pargana. What is a Pargana? I taught you last time. A Pargana is a cluster of villages. Very good. And they also discuss issues and concerns of various villages when they are together for any festival. They also take care of the forest. Children, we mainly discussed this last time. What was the life of people of Bastar before the colonization of these forests by the Europeans. Now, what was the consequence of the colonial intervention? I already told you there was a lot of unrest and people were very unhappy when the forest law was, especially after 1878, when the forest law was amended, and the forests were divided into three main categories of reserved forests, protected forest, and village forest. Okay, and because of this, they were very, very unhappy. We discussed from your lesson also that when the colonial government proposed to reserve 2/3 of the forests in 1905 and stop the shifting cultivation, consequence yahi hai, they were barred from conducting shifting cultivation. They were not allowed to enter the reserve forest. They were not allowed to hunt. They were not allowed to collect any kind of a forest produce. The people of Bastar started becoming worried. It was very difficult for them to sustain themselves because their lives were completely dependent upon the forest. Okay, this made them very, very angry. Some of the people, they accepted what the forest management wanted them to do, providing services free of cost, not, whatever they are saying, they followed everything. And many of them rebelled. Okay. So some villages were allowed to stay on in the reserve forest on the condition that they worked for free for the forest department in cutting and transporting trees and protecting the forest from fires by not allowing the shifting cultivation. Subsequently, these came to be known as forest villages. मतलब ये वो वाले village forest है जहाँ पर गांव होते हैं और उस गांव में रहने वाले लोग forest management को मदद करते हैं. But they have to follow all the rules what the forest management. People from other villages were displaced without any notice or compensation. मतलब उनको ना तो उनको कोई दूसरा घर दिया गया, ना उनको पैसा दिया गया, सिर्फ उनको वहां से जंगलों में से निकल जाने को कह दिया गया. For long, villages had been suffering from increased land rents. अगर रहना है तो rent देना पड़ेगा. Frequent demands for free labor and goods by the colonial officials. Free में उनको सब कुछ चाहिए. Then came the finally, जो main reason था that led to the main rebellion in 1910 in Bastar was the famine. दो famines आए, दो बार सूखा पड़ा, 1899 to 1900 एक साल, और उसके बाद जो next famine है, it was between 1907 and 1908. What happened was that people were in a very, very pathetic condition at that time. They had no food, no place to live. It was very difficult for them. Reservations proved to be the last straw. Reservation means कुछ जंगलों में तो उनको बिल्कुल ही जाने को मना कर दिया गया, जिसकी वजह से they became very, very angry. Now I'll quickly share the screen of your lesson and we'll move further from there. Okay, how the rebellion started under the leadership of the Dhurvas of the Kanger forest, because this is where the rebellion initially began, and then by Gundadhur from Netnar forest. Okay, we have seen that in the video also in the last class. Okay, then I will tell you the stories also from the lesson of the rebellion from source E and F, and how the rebellion was suppressed afterwards, and what was how the life of people changed even after independence of India. So we'll quickly cover that part. Okay, let me share the screen with you. Okay, is this screen visible to everyone? The fears of the people?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Now we'll start from the second paragraph. People began to gather and discuss these issues in their village councils, in bazaars and festivals, or wherever the headmen and priests of several villages were assembled. As I told you, children, that they had their festivals, annual festivals by the in the parganas by the village headmen. So this was one of the place where they could discuss and meet. Okay, the initiative was first taken by the Dhurwas of the Kange forest, where reservation first took place. Although there was no single leader, many people speak of Gunda Dhur from the village of Nethanar as an important figure in the movement. In 1910, mango boughs, a lump of earth, chilies and arrows began circulating between villages. Why? If it's mentioned here, please focus here. These were actually messages inviting villagers to rebel against the British. So this is one of the ways they, they used to communicate to tell others that we should rebel against the British. Every village contributed something to the rebellion expenses. Bazaars were looted, the houses of officials and traders, schools and police stations were burnt and robbed, and grain was redistributed. So this is how the rebellion took place. And under whose leadership? There were many were there, but main of if you would like to name one particular person, it was Gunda Dhur from village Nethanar. Okay, most of those who were attacked were in some way associated with the colonial state and its oppressive laws. William Ward, a missionary who observed the events, wrote, "From all directions came streaming into Jagdalpur police, merchants, forest peons, school masters and immigrants." ये जितने भी लोग हैं किसी न किसी तरह से जो colonist state है उससे जुड़े हुए थे. So all these people were mainly attacked. This is what William Ward, a missionary, observed and wrote. Okay. Now we quickly read this excerpt, this story of the rebellion also, what was happening. If anybody does any annotation on the screen, you will be strictly, your name will go to principal madam. Please don't annotate. I'm disabling the annotation here. Nobody will annotate on the screen, please. Okay. Bhondia collected 400 men. This is a story from source E in your book. Sacrificed a number of goats and started off to intercept the Diwan, who was expected to return from the direction of Bitapur. So they are going to attack this Diwan. Diwan is a kind of a village headman of, a person who collects the revenue. Okay. This mob started on the 10th February, burned the Merenga school, the police post, lines and pound at Keslur, and the school at Tokapur, Rajur, detached a contingent to burn Karanji school and captured a head constable and 4 constables of the State Reserve Police who had been sent to escort the Diwan and bring him in. So children, you can see how the tribals, they planned and attacked the Diwan and the people who were supposed to, who were sent to escort the Diwan. The mob did not maltreat the guard seriously, but eased them of their weapons and let them go. Which means, what do you understand by a mob? Mob means a group of people. Okay, they did not maltreat any guard or anybody, but they took their weapons. One party of the rebels under Bhondia Maji went off to the Koer river to block the passage there in case the Diwan left the main road. If the Diwan has taken any other route, so they made sure that he does not reach. Okay, so they blocked the passage from the main road also. Okay, the rest went on to the Dilmili to stop the main road from Bijapur. Buddu Maji and Harchand Nayak led the main body. So this is one excerpt of some information of the story how the rebellion took place in Bastar, especially when it started, when it sparked off in the Kangir forest by the Dhurwas. Now we'll move on to the next page, which tells us more about how the rebellion was suppressed. Now this was how the rebellion was going on. Now how it was suppressed. The British sent troops to suppress the rebellion. The Adivasi leaders tried to negotiate, but the British surrounded their camps and fired upon them. After that, they marched through the villages, flogging and punishing those who had taken part in the rebellion. Most villages were deserted as people fled into the jungles. It took 3 months from February to May for the British to regain control. So you can make out, children, how on a very large scale this rebellion happened. But at different places in India, many rebellions were happening during the late 19th century in the similar manner. However, they never managed to escape capture Gundadur, who was the main leader of the revolt. In a major victory for the rebels, work on reservation was temporarily suspended, and the area to be reserved was reduced to roughly half of that was planned before 1910. So why this? What was the main? How did the rebellion spark off? What were the conditions that led to? Was mainly the famine that happened in 1899 and 1900, and then again in the year 1907 and 1908. And most importantly, when they started to begin the reservation of the forest, that's when this sparked off. Okay. Now, what happened after the independence? The story of the forest and people of Bastar does not end there. After independence, the same practice of keeping people out of the forest and reserving them for industrial use continued. Even till today, children, if you go to some of the areas where tribal people still come and work in the local factories in certain areas in Maharashtra, even Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, you will find that still those old practices of exploitation of the tribal people, it's still there. So why it has started from the time of the Britishers only. In the 1970s, the World Bank proposed that 4,600 hectares of natural sal forest. Sal forest means a forest which has a plantation of the sal tree, should be replaced by tropical pine to provide pulp for the paper industry. Again, you know that here there's a requirement of paper. So because these forests are suitable for growing pine, so now they wanted to cut off the sal and they wanted to grow the pine tree for paper. It was only after protests by the local environmentalists that the project was stopped. So children, you can make out that if whichever government has come, they have just tried to make use of the forest for their own benefit, for their own commercial benefit. So even the environmentalists, scientists, they have been, stressing on the point that we should not disturb the forest like that. It affects the entire ecosystem and of that particular place, and in turn it is harmful for the various species of the wild that are living in the forest. So now we will look at before we go on to the next section on Java island of Indonesia, I will just show you my slide again. I will do a little exercise before we proceed on to the next section, that is the fourth section on Java islands. How the forest, the fourth section is the forest transformations in Java. Before we start that, let's just do one exercise. Are you all ready here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to share another screen for all of you. Okay, let's do these recap we have already done. The life of people of Bastar and their lifestyle, what were the fears of people and how it led to the rebellion and its aftermath. We have just discussed. So let's do these question answer. Bastar is located in the southernmost part of dash
India.
Chhattisgarh.
and it shares borders of Andhra Pradesh,
Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha.
and Odisha. Very good.
And Tamil.
Okay, the dash. Very good. The dash, and dash were some of the tribes who lived here.
Gonds.
Dhurvas, Bhatras,
Gonds,
and
Dhurvas, Bhatras, Halbas.
Very good. The Gonds, Dhurvas, Bhatras, and Halbas. The villagers paid a small fee for dash in exchange for wood.
Dand.
Dand, ha, Dand.
Man.
Sari, dand, or man in exchange. Very good. Okay, so these were the three main different kinds of fee they had to pay. The Bastar rebellion started in the dash and soon spread to other parts of the state. It first started in the Which forest?
1910.
Kanker.
Kanker forest.
It first
Kanker
started in the
forest.
Kanker forest and then it spread to the other parts of the state. Now we'll quickly do another little exercise here, children. It's let's start.
अरे मुझे मालूम है.
Is the screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's loading.
It's loading. Let's wait. Yeah.
अरे करण माइक बंद कर.
Karan, please
तू
mute your
करना.
mic. Okay. The first question.
तुझे mask
In
दिखा रहा है कि-
1947, the Bastar Kingdom was merged with the Dash Kingdom and became Bastar District.
Kanker.
Kanker.
Kanker. Very good. So this is the right answer. Next, the Gonds are from Manipur, Jharkhand, Mizoram or Chhattisgarh?
Chhattisgarh.
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 They are from Chhattisgarh mainly. Okay.
Chhattisgarh.
Even in Maharashtra, some tribes are there. Okay. The central part of India is all for the Gond tribe. Okay. In the 1970s, the World Bank proposed that 4,600 hectares of natural dash forest in India should be replaced by tropical pine for providing cover. Very good. Which region of India was Birsa Munda from?
Chota
Nagpur.
Chota
Okay, the dash part of Bastar is on a plateau.
Ma'am, not
Western.
नहीं है, it is the central part of Bastar is plateau. आपको बताया बेटा, and there you have the river tributary of Godavari river. Please mute your mic. Which of these was not a fee for transporting wood in colonial India? Devsari, Danda, Pargana, Man.
Pargana.
What was Pargana then? What is a Pargana?
Cluster of villages.
It is a cluster of villages. The rebellion in Bastar took place in
1910.
very good, in the year 1910. And what were the three main reasons immediately that sparked off the revolt, the rebellion?
Ma'am, the famines.
The famines in 1899 and 1900, and the other in 1907 and 8. And also the main reason was the reservation of forests started, which made the tribals very, very angry. Next question. William Ward was a
Missionary.
missionary. He wrote something about
Missionary.
how the rebellion was happening. We read just now. We read that. Alluri Sitaram Raju was the person who rebelled against changes imposed on the local tribes in Kolkata. He belonged to Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh.
I told you. Andhra Pradesh. A Pargana is a cluster of
Villages.
Very good. Okay, so now we are done with the exercise, and now we'll move on to the next section. Okay. Let's see if this is working, then I will show you a video.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll show you the last part of the video today. Forest transformation in Java, beta. This is the introductory video of the fourth section of your lesson, forest transformation in Java. Let's watch this. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. what we'll do is it's okay. Now it's started.
In this module, you will learn about the similarities between the development in the forest services and forest laws of India and Java.
Beta, are you able to hear the sound? You can hear the sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you say if I told you that when people in the US celebrate Thanksgiving Day, they're actually celebrating a counterpart of Vaisakhi celebrated in India?
Okay, Baisakhi is more like a Thanksgiving Day, just like it's
And-
celebrated in America.
Vice versa. Even though the two
Okay, children, till the time this video is buffering, I will do the introduction of this lesson from my slide. Okay, this window is visible to everyone. We still have almost 10 minutes left. Okay, is this slide visible to everyone? Section 4, forest transformations in Java introduction.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we begin, let's
Yes,
look at
ma'am.
where Java is located, because again, this is important from your from the point of view of the map work in your exam. Here you can see Australia. Okay, here you have the Southeast Asian countries here, and here you have the Java island. Okay, you can see here is India, Australia, and these are these islands, Southeast Asian islands, and you can make out in red color is the Java island, and there was similarities in the forest laws in Java and in India, and how the people got affected in both the places. Also, let me tell you, children, in India, it was whose rule? Which country's rule was there in India before independence?
England.
Britain, yes.
Britain.
On the other hand, in the Java island, it was the Dutch. Someone
बोल बंद करने
who's
को सुजल
okay. Now let me just mute everyone. This is really very, very irritating. Every time I have to mute all of you. Who's this, Raksha? Yeah. Please mute your mic. It creates a lot of disturbance here. Aditya, you also. Okay. Now here in this map, you can see better where is Java located, because for your map work, you may need to mark it in your exam. So please, I will be sharing this PPT so that you can remember where it is. It is there in your textbook also. But it is not very clearly given. This much map is given in your book. Okay. Here, these are the Java islands here. And this particular map is given in your book, similar to this. Okay. Now, when we talk about Java, it has the, Java is now, right now, it is mainly a rice producing island in Indonesia. But once upon a time, it was covered mostly with forests. Okay, again, there was forest management done by the Dutch people. Dutch people are from which country? Who will tell me?
Germany.
Germany and mainly Netherlands and Germany. Okay, so the colonial power in Indonesia were the Dutch. And as we can see, there were many similarities in the laws for forest control in Indonesia and India. So there were many similarities. Java in Indonesia is where the Dutch started forest management, just like the British did it in India. Like the British, they wanted timber from Java. For which purpose? Again, it was for shipbuilding. Just like the British wanted the sal and the teak trees for building the ships and the railway tracks. Similarly, the Dutch people wanted to utilize durable timber in the Java forest for building the ships. In 1600, the population of Java was an estimated of 3.4 million. There were many villages in the fertile plains, but there were also many communities living in the mountains and practicing the shifting cultivation. So whatever circumstances were there in India, the similar circumstances were faced by the people of Java also. So now let's see if our video is buffered. Yes, let's start with the video now. Everyone ready?
Yes, ma'am.
module,
Yes, ma'am.
you will learn about the similarities between the development in the forest services and forest laws of India and Java. What would you say if I told you that when people in the US celebrate Thanksgiving Day, they're actually celebrating a counterpart of Baisakhi celebrated in India, and vice versa? Even though the two festivals are celebrated by the people of two different countries with different customs and rituals, they are similar to a great extent. Both Baisakhi and Thanksgiving are celebrated to express joy over the harvest season and to express gratitude and thanks to God for it. Just as these two festivals of different countries are similar, the development and transformations of the forests of India and Java in Indonesia are similar to a great extent. Forest management in Java and India was started by colonizers, the Dutch in Java and the British in India. Both carried out large-scale deforestation for timber to build ships and sleepers for railways. Shifting cultivation was practiced for several generations by the forest communities of both places. Remember the rebellion in Bastar in 1910 and the important role of Gunda Dur in the rebellion? The Kalangs, who were the woodcutting community of Java, also rebelled against the Dutch in 1770.
Okay, just like Gundadhor was from which community? Gundadhor was from the village Nethinar in India. Similarly, the Kalangas in Java, they did the rebellion
To stand
against
up
the Dutch.
against the laws that restricted their access to the forests. In Java, the initiative to stand up against the Dutch was taken by Surontiko Samin of Randu Blatung, a teak forest village. He argued that the Dutch had not created water, wood and air, and that they had no right to place restrictions on the natural forest resources that Mother Earth has given. Forest services and scientific forestry was also introduced by the colonizers in both Java and India to manage forests for shipbuilding and railways. The Dutch in Java practiced a system known as the Blandong-Diensten system, under which, just like the British in India, they imposed heavy rents on land under cultivation. Both the Dutch in Java and the British in India exploited the forest resources to meet their war needs. During the First World War and the Second World War, the British cut many trees in India to meet their war needs. Java faced a similar fate at the hands of the Dutch just before the Japanese occupation of Java. The Japanese further exploited the forests of Java and left the forests in an irretrievable state. The impacts of war took its toll on the forests of Java and India. The forests that were lost could never be restored to their original state. The forests of Java were transformed by the Dutch. The Javanese people may never have thought that somewhere in another part of the world, the Indians also met a similar fate at the hands of their colonizers, the British. Since the 1980s, the governments of different countries in Asia and Africa have learned from each other's pasts and are trying to find new ways for better forest management. They have learned a mutually beneficial system of forest management by allowing the forests to be managed by local forest dwellers, whereby both the forest dwellers and the forest department are benefited through conservation. You have now reached the end of the module on forest transformations in Java. In this module, you learned that the development and transformation of the forests in India and Java in Indonesia are similar to a great extent. forest management, large-scale deforestation, and shifting cultivation were also practiced in Java. Like the people of Bastar, the Kalangs also rebelled against the Dutch in 1770.
Okay, children, so this brings us
Turun
to
Tiko
the end
Samin
of the
took the
module.
initiative to stand up against the Dutch. Both the Dutch.
Okay, so now this brings us to the end of this particular session, and we will continue tomorrow with the fourth section. And then this weekend on Sunday, please remember we have a class test. Okay. All right, now I'm going to end this.